Amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing, individually and collectively, as it was established at birth.
So I'm Crystal Gunn, founder of the Amazing Women Network and host of Amazing Women Speak. So do me a favor and share this with your friends so they can join in on this conversation. It's going to be really great. Be a blessing to someone, and I'm sure this conversation will inspire and bless you as well. But we know last month was Black History Month, and this month is Women's History Month. And when I told Michele that I wanted to feature Black women who are part of the few in their industry or in whatever industry they're in, they are absolutely killing it. And so she loved the idea and said that the topic needed to be my seat at the table. And I thought that was brilliant. So all month long, we will be highlighting some incredibly dope women who are Black history and women's history. And every single day, they are leaving their mark on the world and owning their seat at the table. So Michele, as always, thank you for saying yes to Amazing Women Speak. Welcome today, and let's get this conversation going.
Good evening and welcome to another amazing episode. I'm excited, a little under the weather, but I'm here for this conversation. Would not have missed it. The idea that we get to hear from some amazing women telling us about their journey, getting to learn, getting to be in community. This is what this podcast is all about. So the idea that we're going to hyper focus in the month of March because we're celebrating women's history, to see women who are currently making history. We get to hear about the stories that we'll one day be telling our children about, or one to be sharing with our grandchildren about Black women who made their way to the table, Black women who created their own seats at the table, and what that journey was like. I'm excited to be in the presence always of amazing Black women, and thankful to Crystal for making space for me to share this platform with her. So, as always, this is the fastest hour of your day. Let's meet these amazing women and dive into this conversation. Emma, please come on in here and introduce yourself.
Hi, can you see me there?
Yes.
Hello there. Hello, everyone. First and foremost, thank both of you for allowing this opportunity for me to sit at the table. My name is Emma Elder-Howell. I'm with Detroit Title and Escrow. I'm a partner. We are a title insurance company, which obviously facilitate, insure, and close real estate transactions 365 days of the year, every day, even on weekends, believe it or not. We have 3 locations. One is in Dearborn, one is in Detroit, and we have a satellite office in Southfield. And we probably cover about 20 employees right about now. Awesome. Should I tell about myself or?
Yeah, so we're going to learn about you as you share your journey. So we'll go ahead and invite Sanya in for an introduction, and then we will get this conversation started.
Thank you.
Excellent. Good evening, ladies. Again, I will just piggyback on how thankful I am as well for the opportunity to spend this evening with you with this wonderful topic. It is such an honor to have a platform to celebrate women and also to support women. So I appreciate you both, and also for the young lady, Emma, that's with me. Hey, sis.
Hey.
I'm Sanya Weston, and I work in the travel and hospitality industry. I run a legacy business that my mom started almost 50 years ago in the city of Detroit. So I am honored to say that we started in Detroit and we are still around. We have 2 offices, one in Novi, also a satellite office in Detroit. And that is my day job. But my love job, or my passion job, is I'm founder of Young People Travel Global Edge, which is what motivates me every day and continue to keep me moving forward as I impact our youth in the city of Detroit and abroad. So again, thank you for having me. And this conversation is definitely going to enlighten a lot of our listeners.
Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful. So because it is the fastest hour of the day, I always launch deep. Don't have time for shallow waters. There's a lot of ground to cover and we need to be able to get there. But before we can talk about the ways in which you claimed your seat at the table, we got to hit rewind and talk about the path that you took to get there and what you recognized along the way that said, I need to take this step. I need to own my journey differently. and how many no's you had to encounter before you recognize here's a strategy I need to employ in order to find and or create my own space. Because as Black women, we've all been socialized to just be grateful to be in the room, right?
Mhm.
Never mind a seat at even their table, right? Like just being grateful for being in the room. So I want to unpack a little bit about the journey before you got to where you are. And I'm sure you're still growing and excited to hear about that piece of it. But again, just want to back up for a moment and talk about the journey before we're getting to where you are. Emma, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my journey started with me just being a single mom and needing a job. That's ultimately how I started. I knew nothing about real estate. It was just an opportunity as a part-time administrative assistant through Kelly Services. And I was lucky enough to land a part-time job with a new construction builder. And I worked with that builder for several years. And with doing that, it allowed me to learn contracts, understand real estate. Still didn't know that my path was going to be title and or real estate. I was just lucky to have a job. But that fast forward, maybe 5 or 6 years with that builder, I was engaged in understanding loan processing, reading contracts, negotiating contracts, notarizing, other things, which led me into the title side. And once I went over to the title side, the title insurance side of real estate, that's when some sort of light bulb came on. And it was, I kind of like this challenging, complex, black hole, if you will, side of real estate. This is intriguing, only because it's a puzzle. But what pushed me to get where I am now is because what I recognized in doing what I was doing, a lot of folks back when I started in 2001 to where I am now, they didn't understand what is title insurance, why do I need title insurance, how does title insurance impact my real estate transaction of any sort. And the part that I enjoyed was educating, doing real estate mixers, doing home buyer classes. And this is something that I did 10, 12, 13, 14 years ago. But at that time, I worked for someone. I was an employee. So I had this thought, hey, I want to do a home buyers class. And it was, oh, no, not right now. We don't have the money for it. Or, hey, I want to do a home buyers class. Oh, no, not right now. It doesn't fit within what we're trying to do. I need you to do this project. Or everything that I wanted to do related to education on the title side, it was, I had to always ask permission. And I didn't always get what I wanted as far as, we'll do it like this. We'll cater to this particular clientele. No, we'll wait on that. So it was a lot of no's. And I didn't like the no's. So as time progressed and that company that I was with decided that they wanted to merge into a corporate company, whereas our company was smaller and boutique, I opted not to go. It was a little scary at first, but I made that decision based on saying, I trust in myself. I trust in the clientele that I've built. Over the years of doing what I do, I see that there's a need for me in the real estate industry for education. Yes, I do offer title insurance, but what's more important is let me educate. And that's what allowed me to say, I'm not going to go. I don't want to go corporate. I'm going to turn down this amazing salary with health benefits and 401k and everything. And I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to gamble on myself. And that's what I did with the support of my family. 2013, I walked away from a salary job, started working out of my truck, probably had about 10 clients, my truck and my dining room table. And from then to now, 3 offices, 20 plus employees, an amazing business partner, and I'm not looking back.
Awesome.
Incredible. So much to unpack there. So we will definitely be getting to walk through to some of that, right? Because there's a lot to learn. And Facebook, we invite you into this conversation. Drop your questions in the chat. We already have a listener, Emma, who shares that you even close in your sleep, that you are the one to have these conversations with. So I'm absolutely excited to hear a little bit more about that and to share your wisdom and knowledge with our listeners. So you come on in here and tell us a little bit about your journey.
You know, my journey took a different twist, but it was definitely an example of what we're doing today. So, you know, my mom started our business almost 50 years ago on 7 Mile and Pinehurst. It's right in the middle of the city. And she was the first African-American to open a travel agency in the Detroit area. But what was so special, there was another young lady named Linda Burgess who had an agency in Southfield, Michigan. And I had an opportunity in my 20s after I divorced and left corporate and needed mom to help babysit the kids. So I started working with her in the travel industry. And I had an opportunity to watch her and Linda they were competitive in their business. They were competitors, but they worked and walked in a spirit of amazing women. They empowered each other. Everything was just integrity. And they were my teachers, my mentors in my 20s, where I saw women need to help women, no matter if you're in the same industry. So as I started to develop in this particular industry, my mom was called to heaven, but she left a lot of jewels inside of me. But Linda Burgess asked me to move into her office. She knew that I needed support at that stage of my life to keep my business going. And for someone to do that, that's an example that continues to stay in my heart. And that's why I walk in the spirit that they walked in back in those days. So as I advanced, she gave me my wings and say, okay, it's time for you to fly on. And I was able to open an office in Southfield. Now we have an office in Novi, and we are continuing to grow. I have to always tell that story because today women are doing bigger and better things. And they cannot lose focus on, it takes a village. It takes a strong circle of entrepreneur women to help each other. And when you fall short of that, you're missing out on something. So I like to tell that story to everyone because it is something that should empower you and also teach you. But that brings me back to where I am today with this seat at the table. This topic I have walked I'm getting emotional because for the past 2 years, I wanted a seat at the table. I watched my mom makes millions of dollars. Linda Burgess make millions of dollars, but they were only known in Michigan. So when we would go to conferences in our industry or just do things outside, there was never anyone that looked like us that was winning awards. There were never anyone that looks like us that was head of companies, so I wanted to know why. So for the past 2 years, I dedicated myself of knocking down doors so that I can get to those tables. And I made sure that I put myself in place with people that had the knowledge that could assist me with giving my knowledge in this industry as well. And that has filtered on to other industries. I had an opportunity to be in the Goldman Sachs 10K Small Business Program. And when I took that attitude into that circle of entrepreneurs from different walks of life and different professions, I was able to also assist with empowering, helping them to negotiate, and also going to DC and working on behalf of entrepreneurs. So once you have that spirit of wanting to do better, because now you know better and you're able to have a mission not only for yourself, but to bring others up with you, the sky's the limit. Yeah. So that brings me to why I am now standing on platforms in our industry that help makes decisions. Some of the largest, board of directors that people know, like Delta Vacation, and, a lot of those name-worthy companies, I'm on the advisory board now. I'm helping to make decisions. I'm helping to, I'm getting awards that I've never seen anyone actually receive. And that is powerful to me right now. And as we go on with the conversation, you can see I'll let you know of the changes that are happening because of that.
Incredible. So many of us weigh the risk of wanting to make the kind of moves that you've made, and we get paralyzed by that, right? So I heard you talk, Sanya, about tribe, a village. That's one of the things that comes up every conversation. And sometimes Krista and I will bring it in intentionally because it's important to be able to have those folks that are supporting you. Emma, you talked about the support of your family, right? So we don't want our listeners to believe that you went from having a dream to implementation, right, that there was some struggle along the way. And it was because of some people that were surrounding you, that lifted you up, whose shoulders you stood on in order to be able to get where you are. Tell us a little bit about the no's, because we know that they come and they can make you not want to move forward. And again, counting on our tribe or our will to not quit. Tell us a little bit about the struggle, because it is a part of the journey and it's necessary. If you have not failed, you aren't trying hard enough. Sanya.
Well, if I can chime in, I'm always working for as many no's as possible because, if you're not moving and you don't have any traction, then you're not getting any no's. But when you are moving, then those no's come and eventually you'll get that yes or what you're looking for. You just can't stop. You have to have a running partner. You have to have someone, especially as an entrepreneur, we're our own boss. We have no one to hold us accountable for what we do. So you have to find someone that is, that you can listen to, first of all, as an entrepreneur. You need to find someone that actually can give you some feedback on the decisions that you make. And when you have that person you can lean on, that you can trust, that's a part of your circle, that have the same goals in mind, then that helps to empower you and to move you forward. And I challenge all women, we need that. And we can't do anything by ourselves. We always need someone, as you say, to help to give us that next push up, because it gets tough out there. There's a lot of times where we don't want to just move in the morning. We don't want to think anymore. And you need that person to say, okay, you got to get up, you got things to do. And even if it's taking care of yourself, I know that you have some hard days over there dealing with in the housing industry. I can only imagine.
Oh, yes. Plenty of them. It's a lot of days where I just want to say, okay, it's 3:00. I'm turning off the phone, shut the doors. My cell phone is off. I'm going home. But guess what? I can't. I have many of folks that I have to account for, or account to. But not only that, just with my kids alone, those that look at me, those that when I don't think I'm being watched, they're watching and they're wondering, how is she doing this? What's the next move? I want to do that, So it's things like that that keeps me going. Is things like happy homeowners, folks that come across me just finding me on Facebook or a referral, and I'm able to help them out of an unfortunate situation as it relates to real estate and finances. But there's been plenty of no's. I've been told no to different opportunities because we're a small company. I've been told no to different opportunities because we don't have multiple underwriters. I've been told no to different opportunities because who are you? I've never heard of you. I've actually had to fall back a few times because I wear a skirt and I'm not a man, so I get it, but the beauty of that is, and one of the things that worked for me with the support is, I do know when to step back. It doesn't make me feel any indifferent of saying that I can't do this or I shouldn't be at the table. It's just, okay, that's not the role for me. Let me fall back. Let me let my partner step in. It doesn't change anything because ultimately we still make it happen. But the no's come more quite often than the yeses. And all that does is just make me go harder.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's been plenty of sleepless nights.
I watch, Emma, with just the stuff that you share on social media. And I'm like, how does this lady do all of this? Like you said, 365 days. And I just stand back and applaud it, because there's something that you started doing where you talked about the education piece and you started having conversations in the barbershop, which I thought was phenomenal. Because in our community, especially in these type of areas, we lack a lot of knowledge because the gatekeepers, right, wouldn't share the knowledge. What made you say, I need to go out in this arena, sit in the barbershop and have these type of conversations, as opposed to saying, hey, come to this office for this very formal workshop?
I've always found you have to meet people where they are.
Where they are, yes.
You and with that being said, when I walk in a room, I gauge my audience. And that's the spiel I'm going to give. Whatever audience I'm in, instantly in my mind, this is where I'm going to go to explain title insurance. And with the number of phone calls that I get, again, unfortunate circumstances or questions that are asked, it let me know years ago, not just now, but I've always been doing something in the community. But this, and what made me go with the barbershop is because I have to take it to the community. Because what you find a lot of times is within our neighborhoods, folks don't know what they don't know. or they
Correct.
feel intimidated. They don't want to ask certain questions because they don't want to feel stupid, you know, or they feel like someone's going to judge them, or they just make bad decisions on the they says. So for me, I said, if I can meet the community in a common ground, somewhere that's comfortable, it's just an organic setting. Hey, you know, my signature is my haircut. So if I'm in the barbershop once a week anyway, you know, let's attract that audience. Let's engage them. Let's make it comfortable for them. Come, I'm there, meet me there. And whatever you want to know about real estate, let's talk about it. And that's what made me start doing that. Is I just decided everyone's not going to come to the office. They're not going to come to the mixers. They're not going to come to the home buyers fair at the church or wherever we have it. Sometimes you just got to take it to them and say, I'm here. Let's do it. Yeah.
Excellent. Yes.
I love that. Sanya, so you talked about something that struck a chord with me. Before I left my previous position, 95% of the time I walked in the room, I was the only person that looked like me, right? Like the joy that came in when I looked in a room and found another Black face, let alone another Black woman, right? So what it's like to be in spaces where we're having, right? Like, and you feel like there's some kind of phenomenon that's happening. And so I made a commitment that I needed to be able to change that. And I was committed to making sure that I was always bringing somebody with me, right? Even if they were not at my level in the organization, I made a commitment. And there were times when I got a lot of pushback, usually from white men in the room, that I had somebody who was reporting to me in the room with me. And so folks would come to the meeting early and there would be a seat next to me and somebody would try to sit there. And I say, you can't sit there. I'm saving that seat at the table, right? Yeah. Intentionally. Tell us what that was like for you and how that set with your spirit, that you've made that commitment to live on the way that your mom and the way that Linda has done for
you. That is very challenging, but what's even more challenging is walking in the room and seeing someone that looks like you that don't talk to you or don't acknowledge you. And those situations, touch me a little harder in the heart because, that is just totally different from what we are supposed to do to help one another. So, I amplify, anyone that looks like me, and then also allow the opportunity for me to talk about people that I know are candidates for the level of a meeting or a category that we're looking for. I'm always talking and being a cheerleader for other people. We need to do that because unfortunately, there's a lot of us that don't. And when they see that, they, when I say they, it's always a group of people that will support us when we don't support each other. But then when you start to bring other people to the table and you let them know that we all have the talents, then that's when you challenge them and let them know that we're better working together than by ourselves. Just recently, I was actually invited to an event that it was, not normally for African Americans, let's say that, in our industry. But I was invited by someone who didn't look like me. And I challenged the ladies who I knew about it and say, why haven't you told me? We can't be quiet. We have to have a way to say, hey, why haven't you invited me? Are you not comfortable? Did you not know you could? Let's talk about that. And now that has opened the eyes to the people that I approached in that manner. And, of course, there's a way you say something that you can talk to a sister and get some answers. And, so we got to practice that. But when we challenge them, it allows us to then be able to move forward together. So that is something we need to do. So not all the doors are really closed and the seats are not filled. We just stop each other from going into those doors. So, that's something that we need to prevent. And we need to have a lot of more knowledge on how we can do that and how we can be successful in that area.
So that's what we call, in the work that I do, internalized racial oppression.
Absolutely.
The way in which Black people take on the characteristics of our oppressors.
Yes.
And we live it out in a way that within our own communities, we will hold each other back, right? So we've been socialized. I got mine, you get yours. We've been socialized that if you're in the room, you should be grateful for that experience and let everybody else figure it out on themselves, right? So it's not about blame. We've been socialized. It's been baked into our DNA, and it takes a unique person to say that I'm not going to live into that socialization, right? That there is enough at the table for all of us. And Absolutely. If there's not, then collectively, we're going to learn how to grow more so that there is more for us, right? And so how do we break that? Don't be the woman, don't be that girl, don't be her that has it and wants to hoard it. You are living out the characteristics of our oppressors, and we should not. Coming out of Black History Month, echo that message that is important that we move together as a collective. How powerful to have another Black woman by your side or willing to walk in front of you and you not feel like you are being led, but she is creating a path. Right. For you to be able to walk and not have to go through as many obstacles for that. So I thank you for sharing that. It is so important, and that we break the narrative, that we change the narrative about the way that we see each other as Black women and create space. So I'm thankful to both of you that you created your own tables, right? And you get to pick and select and mentor so that other women coming into the industries that you know and love have an opportunity, right? So I heard you, Emma, talk about, right, like this is about the teaching piece of that. And I love it. So I'm guessing, and I'm going to stretch here to say that it's not just the teaching to the person that's coming in to be a buyer, but it's teaching those who also want to do the work as well.
Yes, yes, it is. Ironically enough, all my staff, for the most part, is women, you know, especially the office that I manage out of. And it's about the mentoring, you know, it's about saying, I've been there, I foresee it, I see it in you, I see the potential, and I want to flood you with what knowledge I have. I want to give you all of that I've had up to this point. I want to share with you what others have shared and instilled in me. Because without those opportunities that I got early on, and even with the no's, and even with the, no, you can't do that, it's not time for that, it's not the right setting for that, there still was a lot of positivity that came out of me walking away from corporate and folding into my own. There was a lot of, my former boss put a lot of trust into me, a lot of leadway with allowing me to make business decisions on a company that wasn't even mine. So that was setting me up to be able to apply some of those things, the challenges or good or bad that I went through, to say, when I do start my own company, I'm already ahead of the game because I've already interacted or faced some of that. It also allowed me to be able to, again, pour that into the ladies that I work with. So it's mentoring is from a employer standpoint to an employee, as well as sharing with potential homeowners and younger youth around me, because I just attract people. So whether they're young, old, you know, all my children are pretty much young teenage up to my oldest is 29, and being able to not just running the business, but showing them how to stay committed. You know, it's key. Do what you say you're going to do, follow through. Even when it's tough, you got to be the first one to tell yourself, when the going gets tough, you got to get tougher. You got to make it happen. You have to stay consistent. Your word is your integrity. How you handle situations, good or bad, all of that falls into what your outcome will be. So mentoring is just across the board for me every day, work and at home.
Absolutely, yes. You know, I want to chime in. Those are great points. But transparency of entrepreneurs is important as well. You know, like you said earlier, there's a story in between the start and then the finish area where you are currently at your success point. But you have to be transparent so other people that are following you know that there is a struggle. It just makes me remember back to, you know, my family, which is, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and I've seen from the outside where they look professional, you know, they look like they were making a lot of money, you know, they worked hard. But then I'm gonna be honest, I remember our lights getting cut off, you know, and I'm like, how can my mom own her own business and then we have our lights cut off? You know, that was that missing link that a lot of African-American companies have. You know, we know how to make money. We don't want to call it hustle because we just got a gift. But what we don't know sometimes is the financial part. Like what you teach, we didn't know that we can own property, or, that wasn't like things that was taught to us, where it was a normalcy in our household. So when we as entrepreneurs have that transparency where we can share these things, and you can be proud that there was some tough roads, break that chain that is continuing through the generations, and learn how to take the knowledge that our families may have had, or the knowledge that you gained from talking to people in the community, and then build on that so that the people that come behind us are even doing bigger and better things. That to me is really powerful when we all, commit to our struggle, and then also allow other people to learn from it.
Definitely.
So all of us on here today have daughters, right? So how does that play a part in what you do every single day?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm gonna go first because I have a senior, and you guys already know, if you've ever had a senior girl, because this is my first one, it's a lot, but you only know what you know. So my mom taught me how to do, I guess, all the right things that a young lady should do. And I guess I turned out okay. But then I pour those same things into my daughter. So there was one thing that was kind of funny. I was a senior myself, and I got a job at Winkleman's. Everybody knows Winkleman's, right? So I was like walking through the mall on senior picture day, all dressed up, and they hired me on the spot. But what my mom did was a great lesson. She said, okay, you have this job. So now I have to take you to work. So you have to pay gas, and I got to pick you back up. And then I have to give you money to eat. So when you get paid, I want you to pay me for all the things that, I'm doing for you to go to work. And I'm like, well, Mom, that's not fair. I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to work, but you're taking all my money. And she was trying to show me how this is what's going to happen when you're working. But if you work for me and learn from me, I'll give you free training and I'll pay you. And I never knew the value of what she was giving me. But now I do that to my daughter. So, she has a job within our company, and I treat her the same way, but her values are as strong as mine. So, when you talk about a girl or a boy, but, of course, it's our girls that are definitely special this month. Let's just say that, right?
Yes.
If we pour into those values into them, and we give them those examples, I mean, the sky is the limit for them, I tell you.
Yeah, I would have to agree. My oldest is 20, well, she'll be 29 this year, and she's been working with us since she was 16. So she started with us, and it's been days where I'm like, you're fired. And she said, I want to quit. But I'm saying, if you coming home, you're going to keep this job, and just to see her when she was 16 working with us and, progressing the years ahead, and seeing her now with her kids and how she handled her situations, I'm like, wow, I did do something right there. And then I started over because, as you know, Crystal, I have the 11-year-old and 13-year-old.
Oh my God.
And it's the same thing. They make T-shirts. They say they want stuff. I'm like, you want to go to the mall? Well, we're going to go by the office first. I have shredding. I have a filing. You're going to earn what you're asking for from me so that you can understand nothing just comes with a handheld out, and even just with the normal practice of, as I said earlier on, consistency. If you start something, you finish it. My middle kid, she runs track. It got hard for her. Her team wasn't winning. I want to quit. No, you don't. We in this together. You asked to run track. I told you I'll take you to every track meet. You quit, I'm quitting. So I'm not quitting. So we're in this together. So, it's just like a job. It's instilling those values in them now, whether it's a job or whether it's their sports or after school, like whatever it is that you're doing, it's key that finish what you start, stay consistent, make sure you take care, you handle your affairs accordingly, your grades, whatever it is, they're held accountable, and you're rewarded once you do good.
And, just like us as women, we pick our circle of people that empower us and assist us. I tell my daughter to do the same thing. You have control of who you're with. You can pick people in your circle that are your friends and then are your power,
Mhm.
group or what have you. And you can have two different groups and it's okay. Friendships are always the challenging part for our youth, from every stage in life up until adult life. So if we teach them a certain way of how you can be selective, and it's okay to be selective, and know what you need to do to help others and what you should expect for other people to help you when it's time, that allows them to, to carry out that whole tough friendship thing from now until eternity, because we all know there's stages of that. And if we don't have a system in place, if we're not consistent with how we do that, it will work against us.
Yeah, my mom used to tell me, and I didn't get it at first, and now I find myself telling my kid, do what I do, not what I say. with saying that, I'm not perfect, and my middle child, I hate to say it, but sometimes I'm looking at her like, who are you? Did I create you? She's like, Mom, you said do what you do and not what you say. Why are you doing that? And I'm like, oh Lord, so being conscious of how we handle ourselves and how we handle situations, again, not being perfect, is also because our kids watch us, even when we think that they're not paying attention. As you mentioned, the circle of friends that you have and how you interact, our kids watch everything that we do, everything. They pay attention. And you can tell that by how they handle situations in their day-to-day activities or lifestyle.
Yes.
So, Chris, I want to layer on the question about having daughters, right? Eleanor Roosevelt once said, well-behaved women rarely make history, right?
Yes.
And one of the ways in which we can best service our daughters is to help them find their voice,
Yes.
right? When injustice is happening, when an opportunity, they're being overlooked, how do we help them find their voice, that they feel empowered enough to say the thing in the moment, that there's one less time that they're coming home, head on your shoulder in tears because of the thing that got left unsaid? In all walks of life, right? In a relationship with their friends, how do we help our girls find their voice?
Well, living in an area where my daughter she looked, a lot of people didn't look like her, right? She came home with some challenging situations, that happened. And I just poured into her that you're no different than them. When you go to school, you're supposed to have the same education and same opportunity that they have. And if you don't, then that's a problem that needs to be addressed. And I continued to pour that into her to a point. At one point, I was calling her the Malcolm X of our school district out here when she was in elementary, because she would come home and talk about things that was happening to the other kids and telling me, we need to do something about this, And because I spoke those words, I had to rise to the occasion and make sure that I followed through on what I was telling her. And because of that, I believe, she chose to go to Detroit, cast tag now. And,
Of course.
Yeah, I knew Chris was going to say that. And she thought that was a way out of not having to always, fight for things. But she now learns that even in a situation where everyone looks like you, the fight is still on. It's just the topics are different. And now she's prepared for that. So, consistency from us, teaching them early on that they're no different and they should not have any, challenges that the person sitting next to them have, is what I think is the great thing to give our girls.
And I do agree with that. And for me, with my my oldest, being a single parent at the time, what I found was important for me back, 1994, fast forward 98. Well, whenever she was 5 or 6, it was put her in a school that offered diversity. Because what I didn't want was for her to be in a school with just our color, and then she finds herself in a room with a room of just you name it, right. and she felt overwhelmed, and she felt like she didn't fit in, and she felt like she didn't have a voice. So it was very important for me, and even with my kids now, with my husband, diversity is key. You need to be able to know that I don't care who you're around, what room you walk in, you are you, and you have a voice, and you're a beautiful Black woman, and you're smart, and you're intelligent, and the sky is the limit. And that's something that I'm very, very open with my girls about. I talk to them all the time. How was your day? I mean, I find myself having a conversation with them where they're not drinking coffee, but that's how we're catching up. You know, and it just, it gives me that sense to know that I'm giving them the voice. And I can tell that it's working because they speak out. They, you know, they're very, they like to be heard. Let me put it like that, in a good way, but definitely that was the one thing that was important for me, because I didn't have that growing up. I grew up in the hood. I grew up on Linwood and McGraw. I was sheltered. My dad wouldn't really let me do a lot. And it was because he thought he was protecting me, but he was actually holding me back. And it took me to get older to realize that and find out a lot of things later that I felt like, had I known when I was in high school, possibly I could have been a lot further ahead. But then again, who knows? Because we are where we are when it's timing for us to be there, you know? But I just wanted something different for the girls.
What do you do when you want to quit?
Oh, not an
I
option.
sleep. No, for me, you know, my job is very challenging, you know, and it's a lot of folks we have to answer to. And almost every day I tell myself, or I call my partner and say, this is it, I'm quitting. But then I look at how everyone that supports me and the sacrifices that those folks have made along the way, and all of the folks that I've helped, and the folks that are continuing to support me on the sideline in the day-to-day. And I get up every morning and I tell myself, it's a new day. You can do this. You've made it this far. He won't give you no more than what you can handle. Push on. And I do a lot of cursing, but.
Right, like if you aren't thinking about quitting your job once a day, you aren't challenging nothing out of your job, right?
Yeah.
And I literally have found I quit literally for an hour. I might quit my job. I'll walk away from this computer because you're not going to get the very best out of me. Right?
Yes.
So I have literally, I will tell Harper, like, I quit on the job today. I'm going back tomorrow, but for right now, I quit. I quit.
Yeah.
It's working for the right. Like, it's a part of my self-care. It's a part of preservation. I know that this job is challenging me because I need to walk away from it. And that's a good thing. I know I'm having the right kind of impacts and the balance of that self-care. Right. And so I want to lean into that part of the conversation, right? Like what happens when we want to quit? And right, like here, I already heard, Emma, you closing in your sleep. So the fact that you see is still happening. How are we practicing self-care that keeps us showing up?
Well, you know, getting with quitting, I've quit so many times, but in my mindset, I give myself 100 times to quit a year. And then I hit the reset button at the end of the year. So, you know, if I've only quit 30 times, I'm good. You know, it's not even, I haven't even used them up. And then that just lets me know it's okay, because we all have those tough days. You know, believe me, I work in the travel industry. It's a time-based industry. When Delta decides to shut down, no one thinks that affects me. You know what I'm saying? So there's those times when you just want to walk away. But, you know, reset. It's okay to reset. It's okay to get back up. And first of all, it's okay to fall. And then it's definitely okay to get back up and continue to do that. But then we owed it to ourselves for self-care. You know, I was just telling you ladies how wonderful your guest was in the past, talking about health issues last month. And, you know, I had a forced shutdown. And that is teaching me that we must have self-care, not that we need self-care. We must have self-care, because the engine won't run without us. And we need to know our value. We need to know our value to our business and also to our family. So I have a new saying when I wake up every morning, and I say, I choose to live and not die. So everything I do today is going to support that. And I continue to believe that, because I don't want to go and experience what I've experienced a couple of weeks ago. I am choosing to live and not die with my business, my life, you know, everything that I am faced with. And that's what my self-help is now.
For me, you know, it's funny that you asked that question, because I just went to the doctor the other day, and all I talked about was the stress at work and the challenges at work and the things at home. And she stopped me midstream and she said, well, what do you do for you? all I hear about is all this amazing stuff that you're doing and all these needs and places where you're needed and you're wanted. But where do you come in at? And I was stumped. I Crystal, I go out and I have a good time and all that. And I thought that was my self-care, and it's not. It's not. And it left me from last week meeting with her to now still figuring that out as to I need to start carving out that 1 hour a day, no matter what it is, to just debrief, dump everything that I've gone through for that day and focus on some mental relaxation for myself in order for me to be myself and at my best to do it the next day. So I got to challenge myself. I don't know how to do that, but it's something that just knowing that I'm getting older. And again, before I have an automatic shutdown or an unwanted shutdown, it's something that I really, really need to figure out quickly, but I was stumped when she asked me that question the other day. What are you doing for you? Oh, I don't know. I shop, or I go home and I binge watch a movie. And she's like, no. So I don't have an answer yet, but
gotta work on that.
I'm aware of it, and I know it's something I need to work on.
You do have to schedule it. And Michele does something every day. Is it at noon? Speak to that, because I think it's fantastic. And because we do all of these other things, if we don't schedule it, I always say if it's not on my calendar, it's not happening.
Right. So my faith is very important to me. Right. And I can get caught up in the busyness of the day and have not connected with my source. And it's not because I don't have the intention, not because I don't want to. So every day is at noon. I don't care what's happening. I will break away from a meeting, say I need to be BRB on my screen and go have a 30-second conversation with God. Every single day at noon, my phone is going off. And in the beginning, I would miss it a little bit. And then I started to notice the impact of not connecting at that noon time, right? And so, right, like Jesus broke away to pray. I have to break away. And so I had to build it in and reminder every day at noon, I'm going to get up from whatever I'm doing. He's worthy of that in order for me to be able to. So that scheduling piece is really important. It's intentional. You deserve what that looks like in your life, and you deserve the journey of figuring it out. Try all of the things, Emma. Try all of the things. I do want to say, like we need to know who your doctor is, because she slowed down long enough to ask you. How often is that happening? Right? Like, how often is that happening? But as we begin to have to come to a close, we've got several people out there listening. The thing that we didn't talk about that we need to talk about, right, is as Black women, it's always game on, always foot on the gas, always superwoman. I'm strong. I'm the boss. I'm the right. And how we balance that arrogance up against who I am, my voice is entitled to be heard, owning my space, owning my amazing, and still finding ways to be soft, that you don't have to be, right? Like there's this image now that if we aren't 10 toes down and right, like we aren't doing the thing the right way. And recently, Mary Evans, love her, has been sharing a part of her journey. And she talked about putting a space between the word superwoman. I don't have to always be a superwoman to remember that I am a super woman. That visual, as she stood in a cape of the way that we have to see, the ways that we have to own it, hit me so hard, right? That I don't have to do the thing that I do very, very well, to claim my seat at the table. It's the both and, right? Like I know how to pull out the cape.
Right.
And I also recognize for legacy, for my own health, for my own well-being, that there's this other piece of me that gets to come in the room as well, right? Like how often, like we claim the B word as, right? Like I'm a boss bee. No. Right. It became the thing. And you don't have to be, right? Like you two have found your seat at your own table, are creating legacy to invite other Black women to sit at that table, to learn the skills necessary. And you did it all while being a super woman, not always superwoman.
Superwoman, exactly.
So I thank you for that. And I learned that just by hearing you talk about your daughters, right?
Yes.
That I can teach you how to claim your voice and be heard, and teach you how to make the decisions that work very best for your life. If you want this, then we have to think about that, right? It is so important, so important. So as we get ready to wrap up, and we do want to learn, how can folks get in touch with you? But tell us about that separation from I'm a boss, I'm a woman owning my amazing. Emma.
Yeah. Well, for me, my home is my comfort. You know, I have an amazing husband, and one of the best things about our marriage is that he lets me be this boss, whatever it, you know, I need to, how many ever Superman suits I need to wear. He lets me do that. Even when we're at work, we work together and no one knows that, you know. And even when we're at work, I'm running around there and I'm stomping and we gotta take care of it. And he does his thing because he understands that, you know, we're at work. But when I come home, I'm able to just let it all go. I'm able to just let it all go. And he's, how was your day? What do you need? I took care of the girls. I mean, he makes it so easy for me to just be able to come home and say, the day is over, I think. Tell me something else. Tell me something different. You know, same thing with my girls. I love just being silly with my girls. I mean, we shop, we go get our hair done. You know, we do all that stuff where I'm like, I'm not a boss right now. I just want to be mommy. I just want to be silly. I just want to have some fun. You know, I call myself running track with him, and I can't run as fast as I thought I could anymore. And you know, and I love just laughing and just, you know, doing stuff like that to show the vulnerable side of myself. Even with some of my clients, you know, let's get to know each other on a personal level. Business is business, and we're always going to have that. But sometimes you get much more respect when people get to know that other side of you, which is another reason why I do what I do when I go out to the community. Because again, me having to be in the role of that title person and telling you, well, your deal is a bad deal and it can't close, that's that side. But now let me take that coat off or that hat off and say, let me bring you the softer side of explaining to you what's important about why you need a title company and how I can relate to you. You know, same thing with my team. I don't like using the word employee. I like saying team, because I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for the support of my family, my mom, the sacrifices, my husband, the sacrifices, my older daughter, the sacrifices. One of my friends, and I don't want to drag this on, but I got started in this and I neglected to say, when I started working out in my truck, like I did, I also had a $2,500 loan from a friend. You know, she trusted and she saw something in me to say, I got $2,500 for you. Pay me back when you can. And that's what I started with. So because of that, it allowed me to be where I'm at. So I don't like the word employee. I like to say team, because without that team, I wouldn't be able to be doing this right now. I wouldn't be able to be opening up other seats at the table. Right. So that's that humbleness for me. And my thank you for being on my team.
Awesome. Yeah. I know with me, I focus on learning love languages. So even, you know, with my children, I love for them to tell me I love you without it being associated with something that they're giving me, is something that's in their heart. So I focus on learning the art of acknowledging what motivates them, what allows them I can get the best out of them. And I allow that to filter into my workplace as well. So, you know, from the love languages within the household to the love language inside the office, it's just important for me to be able to relate to other people and pour into them based on what I know will make them successful. It's an art that you really have to have passion for and patience. And And I have decided that by doing that, I get the best of the best out of my team, where, you know, at work, people I'm trying to mentor, and then of course my children. And that's my happy place. I have 3 beautiful granddaughters, and now, you know, I have all the girls now, right? So
Wow.
and you know, allowing them to all know that each level in life you learn from the one before you, that they already know that there's going to be a positive influence that's coming their way, and they can't wait to get to that particular stage. And you know, let it be, you know, get your hair braided a certain way or put on lip gloss. Every stage they're excited about it, because we have incorporated a feeling and an accomplishment with all those stages. And it's funny, I say that with the kids, it's the same thing in the workplace. You know, as I mentor my my employees, and then our people that are within our, I guess, our dwelling for my nonprofit, to see the other kids work and grow and at their different stages, it just makes me feel, you know, like job well done. You know, I was told by some very powerful lady, she said, don't ever think you cannot be replaced. You're fabulous at what you're doing. But just know, when you leave out of here, I'm going to hire somebody as quick as I can to replace you. So you can't be arrogant in a position. You need to do your best all times, but don't get to that stage where you think nothing's going to work without you, because you're wrong. They will replace you, or, you know, you can be replaced. So you need to walk in grace and be humble, but then display your best, whoever you are. And then also duplicate yourself. If you can't duplicate yourself, then what is the joy that you're giving to the world? What is your gift? You don't, it's a lonely world out there for a very professional woman sitting at the table all by herself. And as we're talking about and seat at the table, if you duplicate yourself because you know that's what they want, then now you're giving someone else a seat at the table. Right. Don't be secretive with all that fabulousness. Right. You got to give it to somebody else.
That's right. I love it. So I told you, fastest hour of the day. Emma, how can folks find you?
You can find me with our website, which is www.detroittitleandescrow.com. Of course, I'm all over social media. Facebook is my name, Emma Elder-Howell. I'm on Instagram, which is _EE Detroit Title. And then, of course, that famous phone number, 248-767-8250. Thank you.
Yes. And for myself, my website is sanyaweston.com, and it will allow you to kind of get channels to all of my areas. And that's Sanya, spelled SANYA. Weston.com. Also, for our nonprofit, for our youth, is yptglobaledge.org. That is Young People Travel Global Edge, where we are always looking for students and mentors to be a part of our international leadership program. And as you can also find me on social media, Sanya Weston, on LinkedIn, also Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you both. What an amazing conversation. Way to kick this off.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is our month.
Yes, it is. Crystal.
Yeah, you said it. Way to kick it off. I couldn't imagine 2 other people that would have brought it that way. I'm so glad that you both said yes to joining us for Black History and Women's History. You all are both the epitome of it. I celebrate you in everything that you do, and I can't wait to see like the roles and the people that you continue to impact and the spaces that you continue to get into, because I mean, and seriously, Emma, let's be real, like it's only been in the last, few years that really and truly, when you start talking about Black-owned title companies, that it hasn't been something that's been around for a long time. And so I celebrate both of you in what you do, and I love the fact that, and we didn't get to touch on this piece, but I love the fact that, Sanya, your mother had this business, and when we talk about passing on that generational wealth, right?
Yes.
She instilled it in you, and Emma, I know you're instilling it into your girls as well.
Yes.
I see it all the time. So I celebrate both of you. I think you're awesome and amazing. I am so thrilled that you decided to join us and share your story with us. I am Crystal Gunn. I am a Black woman, and I own my amazing. Michele.
Yes, yes. Once again, thank you both for spending this hour with us, sharing your story, giving us hope, giving us ideas, giving us something to hold on to as we think about the next step in our journey. The importance of having a seat at the table and the importance of creating it when you can't get one in the space that you're in. So thank you for sharing the risk. Thank you for sharing the stories about your daughters. Very impactful, very powerful, and I'm so very grateful to both of you. Crystal Gunn, as always, in this month, as we talk about women's history, I am rarely in spaces when all of the time the conversation focuses on the importance of uplifting Black women, sharing their stories, thinking about our finances, thinking about our spirituality, thinking about the connectedness that we really have and the beauty that comes when we lift each other up and not tear each other down.
Absolutely.
That you created this sacred space. I'm forever grateful for your obedience to the call that He put on your life. There's not a show that comes on where we don't feed something negative to keep the people's attention. You said no thank you to that. And every week for over a year, you have brought dynamic women to the table, and you're reaching people that have never been in your presence. And for that, I will forever be grateful. You, my friend, are making women's history as a Black woman. My name is Michele Harper. I am grateful that I get to call her my BFF and that she elected me to go on this ride with her. I am a Black woman, and I absolutely, without apology, own my amazing Emma.
Yes. Well, first and foremost, again, thank you both for this opportunity and allowing me to be a part of the kickoff. This is something, you know, I'm a person that I do what I do, you know, and I do it because I absolutely love what I do. I love sharing and educating, and I just feel like it was a gift for me. I didn't know it at that time. Every day I'm learning that more and more, and every day I look forward to pouring that into my audience. No matter how I connect with them, I find a way to connect with my audience because they need to know what I know, because it's going to help someone, or they're going to share it with a friend and it's going to help that person along the way. So I know 10 people I meet, 8 are going to be impacted. 8 are doing something in real estate, family generational wealth, family pass on. And I want to be a part of that, even if it's just being on this platform. So again, I truly, truly appreciate you thinking about me and allowing me to share this hour with you guys. I am an amazing Black woman.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I would also like to, first of all, thank you for acknowledging me from afar and allowing me to be on this particular platform. You ladies are amazing. I have watched from afar all of what you're doing, Crystal, and to be reached out by you to say, hey, you have been doing a great job. That pat on the back from a sister is always powerful. And we should always continue to do that, because we know what we do out there is being acknowledged by only a small amount of people, but when it impacts you, that's, you know, that is the icing on the cake. And I am so dedicated to just supporting women like yourself. So allow me to officially say, sisters, I am there for you. If you need me, I am there for you. And I am forever all of your cheerleaders as we walk in this walk of being amazing women. I am Sanya Weston, and I am an amazing woman. Thank you so, so much for this opportunity.
Thank you both. And for everybody that's tuning in, all of your travel needs, you need to contact Sanya. All of your title needs, please make sure you contact Emma. They will take care of you. I promise you. Be sure to mark your calendars. Again, next week, we're running it back with a little added sauce on top of it. So it is my seat at the table with the added bonus of chronic disease in the Black community, where our guest will be Lisa Smith, founder of the Black Health Academy and She is the first Black person to have a plant-based coaching certification.
Wow.
This conversation is going to be real good, especially between Michele and her as they talk about fitness and wellness. I love it. Thank you all so much. You all are really, really dope. Michele, 1,000 thanks to you. And I forgot to have my tissue because every single time you make me cry. I wouldn't. There's nothing that I love more than empowering and uplifting and acknowledging the dopeness and amazingness of Black women. And this platform really gives us an opportunity to do it. So thank you everybody who's listened today and who's chimed in. There's been tons of comments in the chat, which I knew there would be. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you next week at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
feel
you.
better, Michele.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
ladies.